and welcome to RPTV Weekly News Show. My name is Fred Alvarado, and my co-hosts are Murphy Brown, Jessica Mvutu, and Jabin Haque. We present news that impacts on Regent Park and other surrounding communities located in the downtown east neighborhoods of Toronto.
In this episode, we present you the following news for the week of November 16th to November 22nd, 2021. 6 Toronto police officers charged for discreditable conduct online. Transition plan for the new Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation underway. Toronto's new policy to introduce more affordable housing meets with mixed reactions. Regent Park Revitalization, understanding Phase 4 and 5 rezoning process. November 11th, SDP Planning Committee reviews process for deputations to stakeholders table. Community Wealth presented at Session 3 of the Community Benefits Learning Series. Health Canada could authorize vaccine for kids 5 to 11 in 1 to 2 weeks. And events in Regent Park community.
Toronto police officers charged for discreditable conduct online. An internal review has found that 6 Toronto police officers engaged in discreditable conduct on social media, but that their words were not racist. However, exactly what has been done about it is still not public knowledge. The officers faced 2 counts of discreditable conduct stemming from their comments and likes on a Facebook post on another officer's page on July 31st, 2018. The comments were brought to the attention of the Office of the Independent Police Review Director by another officer. The original post was a link to a TV news story about allegations of racial profiling in the city's Regent Park area. The allegations in the story were made by lawyer Selwyn Peters. In replies under the main post, the officers in question made disparaging remarks against people involved in the story, including Peters and activist Desmond Cole. The investigative report showed multiple posts, including "same lawyer, same story," and "Selwyn would cry racism if I said I drink my coffee black," in reference to Peters. The report also showed another racist idiot comparing Peters to Cole.
Whether somebody wears a black face or makes a comment like that, or any other way that they try to make jokes or caricature a black person, whether the black person is a lawyer or in any other capacity, it's offensive and it falls within the Human Rights Code. It's discriminatory. There were other comments as well. Because all these things go to confidence in policing, confidence in the administration of justice, and certainly when the police conduct themselves that way, there's an erosion of public trust and public confidence. And that's what Toronto Police has to deal with in this case and others.
The Toronto Police Service would not comment on the matter except for a brief statement. Under Section 95 of the Police Services Act, the Toronto Police Service, like all Ontario police services, is prohibited from releasing details about investigations that arise from conduct, complaints, and the outcome of such investigations, unless the matter is heard at a disciplinary tribunal where the information is made public. That also means the public will not know what, if any, discipline the officers will face. Peters said that is unfortunate. Maybe they will face no disciplinary action, he speculated. or maybe a slap on the wrist. Who knows? Certainly the public needs to know. Cole declined to comment on the story, but Peter said, "This is not over yet. I will consider the legal options that exist in this case," he said. Part one of the legal options may be to file a civil action for defamation of character. I may well end up suing the police and the police service. Peter said he plans to pursue more than just an apology.
Transition plan for the new Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation underway. The City of Toronto, Toronto Community Housing Corporation, and the new Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation are working together to implement a plan to transfer responsibility for operating TCHC's 83 seniors designated buildings to the new corporation. Close to 15,000 seniors living in TCHC's 83 seniors designated buildings will become TSHC tenants once the transfer takes place. TCHC will continue to own the buildings and be responsible for capital repairs after the transfer. A TSHC transition team led by Michael Sherrar, the new corporation's interim transitional lead and chief corporate officer, is working closely with TCHC and the city to ensure a smooth transition that, above all, minimizes disruption to tenants. The comprehensive transition plan continues to be on track, with the responsibility for the buildings to be transferred on Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. Earlier this year, City Council directed the creation of TSHC, which is an important part of the city's tenants' first plan. Both the TCHC Board of Directors and the TSHC Board of Directors have approved a joint transition plan. The creation of Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation delivers on the city's absolute commitment to provide seniors with safe, well-maintained homes and improved living conditions, services, and experiences. When it begins operating next year, the new corporation will be solely focused on addressing the specific needs of seniors living in seniors designated buildings. All of this work is being done to ensure senior tenants have access to the housing, health, and community supports that they need to age in place with dignity and in comfort, said Mayor John Tory.
Toronto's new policy to introduce more affordable housing met with mixed reaction. A new Toronto policy to introduce more affordable housing is drawing mixed reaction, with critics saying it is not bold enough to tackle the city's housing crisis, and developers arguing it could be a disincentive for new projects. The majority of Toronto City Council voted in favor of a policy framework that will make it mandatory for certain new developments near major transit stations to include affordable rental and ownership housing units beginning in 2022. To start, the proposed inclusionary zoning policy will require developers to set aside 5 to 10% of a new condo development that has at least 100 units for affordable housing. That requirement will increase gradually to 8 to 22% by 2030. ACORN, a national organization advocating for low and middle income residents, said it saw the framework as somewhat of a win, but called it very timid. Alejandra Ruiz Vargas, chair of ACORN's East York chapter in Toronto, said it falls short of what a city feasibility study found was possible. that condo projects in stronger market areas could be required to set aside at least 20% for affordable housing. Even though we had some wins, this was a great opportunity to create more affordable housing, she said. Councillor Mike Layton, who advocated for a higher rate of affordable housing to be set aside and a full implementation of the policy by 2026, said he had mixed emotions about the framework that was approved. This was a really big step forward, but at the same time, I can't help but think we lost a bit of an opportunity, he said. Rather than go all in on a policy that we were told would maintain developers' profits, that would drive them to keep building, we added a more conservative second qualification for how high the rates could go. That really did hold it back. Dave Wilkes, President and CEO of the Building Industry and Land Development Association, said his association is disappointed with the policy, noting it does not provide financial offsets to cover the cost of building the affordable housing units. The City of Toronto's current approach will transfer approximately $67,000 to the cost of a new condominium apartment, meaning that market purchasers will be subsidizing the cost of below-market units or will make some projects economically non-viable, he said in a written statement. More affordable housing is a good idea. The City of Toronto's approach is a bad plan, Wilkes said.
And now we continue with Jessica Mvutu on a report on Regent Park Revitalization, understanding Phase 4 and 5 rezoning process.
On October 26, 2021, an online engagement session was hosted by the Revitalization team for Regent Park community groups and members. The Revitalization team is made up of a development team made up of Toronto Community Housing, TCHC, and Tridel. The October 26, 2021 session was one of many engagement activities that TCHC and Tridel has held to date. The online presentation provides an understanding of the rezoning application process, what is involved, and the timelines. In past meetings, the rezoning process has been the subject of much concern due to fears that a rezoning application would be submitted to the city before community input could be fully considered. According to Emma West, one of the presenters from Boothfield Inc., a rezoning application will have to be submitted to the city at some point in the near future, the approval of which takes 12 to 24 months. Following the submission of this application, a site plan application is required by the city, which is expected to take an additional 12 months. Finally, a building application is required, which will take a further 6 months to complete. Emma emphasizes that with each submission, changes will need to be made based on the feedback that will be received by the city as well as by the community, and that the rezoning application process will include several reports and studies, including architectural plans, landscape plans, urban planning report, stormwater report, transportation impact study, public strategy report, and community services and facilities study. Emma West assured community members that Tridel and TCHC are fully committed to the consultation process and that community input will be sought as part of the studies as well as at each stage of the rezoning process. Following the presentation related to rezoning, the Revitalization presenters explored various design elements for community members to think about. Presenters posed questions about buildings, homes, community spaces, accessibility, streets and sidewalks, green and open spaces, transportation, retail, community safety, and how sustainable design and best practices will be incorporated. According to Jocelyn Deeks, a representative of Boostfield, the role of the consultation and engagement process will be to bring together all the concerned parties to examine in the broadest way what the various pros and cons regarding all the different elements involved in the development of Phase 4 and 5. Do you have opinions? Give your feedback to Talk Regent Park at torontohousing.ca.
November 11th, SDP Planning Committee reviews process for deputations to stakeholders table. The Social Development Plan, also known as SDP, is a major community-wide initiative in the Regent Park community. The aim of the SDP is to build social cohesion and inclusion. The SDP is led by a planning committee comprised of a city representatives, market and TCHC residents and community groups, and organizations who in turn reports to a larger body known as the SDP Stakeholders Table. The November 11th, 2021 meeting of the SDP Planning Committee was facilitated by Ibrahim Afra, an active resident member of the SDP. The business of the meeting began by reviewing the agenda of the upcoming Stakeholders Table planned for December 7th. One of the agenda items agreed to from the previous meeting concerned a deputation to the Stakeholders Table that is scheduled for the December 7th Stakeholders meeting. Ismail Afra, a resident member of the SDP, raised objections to the proposed deputation on the basis that neither the Community Building Working Table or Access to Recreation Subcommittee had sufficient knowledge of the contents of the deputation and had not endorsed the deputation. Adonis Huggins, an agency member, agreed with Ismail, arguing that the SDP Stakeholders Table was a decision-making table and only items that was thoroughly reviewed by the relevant working group and the planning committee should be forwarded to the Stakeholders Planning Table for decision-making or support. Deanie Peter, a resident agency member, felt that the reason why the deputation was approved was to provide entertaining information about one of the projects of the SDP. However, it was agreed that this was not the case and that the member was actually seeking an endorsement from the Stakeholders Table. After some debate, it was agreed to remove the deputation from the upcoming Stakeholders Table in favor of something more entertaining and send the item to the Community Building Working Group for review. It was also agreed that all deputations to the Stakeholders Table should be approved and endorsed by the relevant working groups first prior to consideration by the Planning Committee and to the SDP Stakeholders Table. The Planning Committee also reviewed a letter written to the city related to the SDP's $50,000 operating budget and the city's refusal to provide interim funding to Regent Park Social, despite the SDP Planning Committee's endorsement.
Community Wealth presented at Session 3 of the Community Benefits Learning Series. The third session of the Community Benefits Learning Series, held on November 9th, 2021, was again a collaboration between the Regent Park Neighborhood Association, the Regent Park Community Benefits Coalition, Toronto Community Housing Corporation, and Tridel Builders. As many residents know, Tridel Builders was the selected TCHC development partner for Phase 4 and 5 of the Regent Park redevelopment. What many people may not know is that Tridel Builders has pledged $26.8 million in community benefits. Therefore, the aim of the Community Benefits Learning Series is to provide residents with an opportunity to know what community benefits are and how residents can get involved in deciding how the $26.8 million will be spent. The third session was facilitated by Pavitra Sulanthar and Waleed Kogali, and they were joined by Kumsa Baker from the Toronto Community Benefits Network, Denise Sudian O'Leary from Center for Social Innovation, Teresa Todorova, Toronto Community Housing, and Brian Sherwood and Maggie Hall from Tridal Builders, Inc. The presentation covered a number of key community concerns. These included confronting anti-Black racism, anti-Indigenous racism in Regent Park, community wealth building in Regent Park, community priorities report, role of government, engagement opportunities. The community wealth building presentation was facilitated by Denise Sudian O'Leary. Denise reported on the feasibility study commissioned by the city of developing a model for community wealth building in Regent Park. 5 central recommendations form the basis of the plan. Number 1, develop a full community wealth strategy for Regent Park. Number 2, engage in community wealth building and learning process. Number 3, build resident engagement in community wealth building. Number 4, create a social business incubator. And number 5, develop a community investment platform. The purpose of developing a community wealth strategy for Regent Park is rooted in the notion that communities should have locally sustainable economic system and the economic prosperity be equally distributed across the whole community. Additionally, woven into this community wealth infrastructure is the development of the capacity of residents to participate in the governance and oversight of community assets. For example, the social business incubator would act as a platform for locally owned businesses, cooperatives, and social enterprises, all uniquely tailored to community needs. The Community Benefits Learning Series is part of the ongoing process of consultation and collaboration between the various stakeholders, Regent Park residents, TCHC, and Tridal Builders, Inc., in their efforts to create a workable model for distributing the $26.8 million allocated for community benefits for phases 4 and 5.
And now we continue with Jabin Haque on a report on Health Canada could authorize vaccine for kids 5 to 11 in 1 or 2 weeks.
Health Canada says a decision on whether to authorize a COVID-19 vaccine for children will come in the next 1 or 2 weeks, leaving open the possibility that some kids could be at least partially protected by Christmas. The news comes as parts of Canada see an uptick in COVID-19 cases in the weeks leading up to the holiday season. Canada's Chief Medical Advisor, Dr. Supriya Sharma, said that the regulator is actively continuing its review of the Pfizer BioNTech jab for children aged 5 to 11, which was authorized for use in the United States earlier this month. Dr. Teresa Tam, Canada's Chief Medical Officer, noted that under 12 population, the only age group still eligible for the vaccine continues to have the highest incident rates of COVID-19 across the country. COVID-19 has typically shown to be mild in children since the pandemic began, but some kids have had serious illnesses. They can also spread the virus to others. We have a dedicated team that's looking at the children's vaccine data, and we look at that in the Canadian context for the possible use in children, Sharma said. That review is actively ongoing, and we expect to have a final decision in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Authorization within the next 2 weeks could give kids access to a first jab and potentially a second by Christmas, provided Canada receives supply of the smaller kid-specific doses right away and that provinces can roll out the vaccine swiftly. The federal government announced last month it could receive 2.9 million Pfizer doses for children shortly after approval. More than 28 million people, or 85% of the eligible population over age 12, are now fully vaccinated, Tam said, though sizable gaps in vaccine coverage remained. She said that includes more than 5 million eligible people who have not yet received a vaccine, and more than 4.3 million children under the age of 12. Now I'll be presenting the events in Regent Park. The Daniel Spectrum Center will be holding a PA Day, Regent Park Youth Fall Fair, on Friday, November 19th from 12 to 6 p.m. The events will feature a job fair, food, music, games, and prizes, and workshops. The event will also feature a raffle for concert tickets to Mustafa the Poet. The event will be held on the ground floor on Daniel Spectrum Center. YEY, Youth Empower Youth, is collaborating with BGC, Toronto Kiwanis and K-Club, a women's martial arts program with female certified instructors to put on 5 classes, weekly women's self-defense training program. This 5-week of certified self-defense training for women is free to Regent Parkers and will happen on Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. starting November 20th and will take place at 101 Spruce Street, the BGC Toronto Kiwanis building. Registration is open and there are only 20 spots available for this free 5-week women's self-defense training. Click the link below in the description to register. The Neighborhood Pods TO Community Conversations is partnering up with Toronto Community Benefits Networks to put on an online discussion and information session by and for newcomers. This important community conversation is on November 22nd, online from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Taking place on the National Housing Day, the conversation will reflect on barriers to housing for newcomers, the housing crisis in Toronto, as well as housing solutions that exist now. Translation will be available in Somali, Arabic, Cantonese, and Mandarin. If you're looking for translation support in any other language, please contact Waleed Kugali at waleed.k@gmail.com. You can register for this conversation on Eventbrite, link in description. The 19th Annual Regent Park Film Festival is taking place online again this year, with one in-person screening. Programming is free to stream between November 25th at 6 p.m. and December 2nd. Have you ever wanted to get some basic sewing skills or brush up on the ones you already have? The Regent Park Sewing Studio will be offering 6 free Regent Park resident-led beginners and intermediate sewing classes every Saturday starting December 4th. These classes are for Regent Park residents only. In these classes, you will learn things like how to do simple alterations as well as how to make tote bags and other simple garments. There will even be a fashion show at the end of the workshop series. Adults will learn from 10 a.m. to noon, while youth will learn from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., with classes taking place at the Toronto Centre of Learning and Development at 540 Dundas Street East. To register, please contact Andriana at 416-779-6006 or send an email to andrianamoprp@gmx.com. At the Palm McConnell Aquatic Center on Wednesday from 7:15 p.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays from 4:45 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., and at the Wellesley Community Center every Friday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. All participants must register for each swim at www.toronto.ca/swim. Swimmers 18 years and older must provide proof of vaccination. And that's all for the events in Regent Park. See you next time.
And that's all for today's show. My name is Fred Alvarado, and my co-hosts are Murphy Brown, Jessica Mvutu, and Jabin Haque. And we also like to thank our team of researchers that contributed to this week's show. And from our studios at Focus Media Arts Center, thanks for watching, and see you next week.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out all of our social media platforms. For more information, check out our website.